It is showtime. Hello again, and welcome to another episode of the Fun Fans Podcast. I'm waiting on Instagram to pop up so I can click it on Instagram, go live. Here we go. Added a few seconds to our intro as we've had Instagram going live here. But I'm your host, James Dillard. With me, as always, my co-host, Bailey Jackson. How you doing, B?
I'm good. We'll talk more about the disappointment of yesterday in just a little bit, but and it stopped raining, so that was good.
Yes, we saw some sunshine today. We're going to have a great show. I can just feel it. And we're definitely going to talk about that Clemson basketball game. And that part's going to be great. We're going to do a Fun Fans look at some fan comments about the Clemson Duke game from the internet. But first, the Fun Fans are a proud part of the Fanboys Fangirls Sports Podcasting Network. If you're a true sports fan, the Fanboys Fangirls is perfect for you. Find various nationwide podcasts and other sports media at thefanboys.com and on all forms of social media. The Fun Fans Podcast is the official podcast for Clemson fans.
And don't forget, if you like things and other items that are just delicious, you can check out Reuben's Food, Sports, Spirits, and Catering, 1083 Batesville Road in Greer, South Carolina, and 11028 Anderson Road in Piedmont, South Carolina. Find them at ReubensC.com. Reuben's is simply a great place to eat for all sports fans, especially Clemson Tiger fans.
That's right. I was there yesterday to watch the Clemson Duke game. It was great, and that's why you got to do. That's why we do the Fun Fan stuff, because we can't control what the players and stuff do. We've talked about this, right, Bailey? But we can control what we have at the tailgate and where we go and enjoy watching the games, and we can enjoy it with some some Diamond X product stuff. Also, a sponsor. All right, real quick. This might just be a normal part of every show. Apparently, we have started one of the best gymnastics programs. This has got to be the best start to a starting program ever. We won another meet. It was a conference meet. So,
yeah, they
keep on.
I think she utilized the transfer portal. Excuse me.
Year one,
and got some freshmen in too. But I mean, that's great.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, but let's get to the real discussion, as everyone's been waiting to hear what Bailey and James have to say about this game yesterday. So I'm just going to be real. And normally, Bailey does most of the talking about basketball, but it's not like, I'm as educated as most other fans about basketball. Duke was on fire there for the majority of they had one player score like 40 points, right? He stepped
Yeah, he's really good.
Nailing threes. And I mean, they were on fire. We're down by 10 points, about halfway or in less than 10 minutes to go in the whole game. We're down by 10.
No.
Wasn't it about that time?
No, we didn't go. We weren't down. We were down 10. We were down 6 at half, and it didn't get any. It might have gone to 10
for one possession.
Yeah. But
that was about the midway, and giving our players credit, them being on fire kind of let up a little bit as we talked about how basketball goes, and we started lightening up a little bit. We came back and made it a really, really close game. So then we turned the ball over 4 times in the last like 6 or 7 possessions, and I didn't like those calls any more than any other Clemson fan. But in my opinion, just being honest, they were consistent calls. And when I say consistent way the refs have been that game, they've been calling that kind of mess on us, but not on them. They've been doing it the whole game. We can't, you're not going to get anything different at the end of the game.
Okay, you said on us, but not on them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fairly consistently the whole game. I mean, there's always.
You finish your thoughts, and then I'm going to go into mine, and I.
But I'm not blaming the ref. My point is they were consistent. I don't think that the team or the fans, the team's definitely not expecting to either get calls or not get calls. They can't be. You can't play like that, right?
You cannot expect to get calls when you go up at I-85 in the North Carolina. That's a fact.
Well, and that too, that's the other part. And I don't know, the kids playing, they hadn't watched this stuff for 30, 40 years like we have. And it's like you just know that you have to be. Grayson Marshall posted, you have to be up by 10 in Tobacco Road.
Yeah, so when we were up at the end of the game, I was not comfortable. I
no.
was standing in front of my television. I probably get more into watching, I don't yell or throw stuff at the TV. I have plenty of buddies that do that.
Yeah.
But I was like, that we are up, but it's not comfortable.
Mm-mm.
And then let me back up.
All right, back up. Your
And
turn.
I'm going to say that as a coach of 27 years, referees don't win and lose games. And in a 1-point game, you can go back and look at different things that happened throughout the game, and you can say that's the 1 point. That's the
Correct.
1 point. That's the 1 point. So I don't want to seem like I'm definitely not blaming the officials, because even though we had a technical foul early, and literally all he did was it was not disrespectful. It was not unsportsmanlike. You know the difference in that. And as a referee, you should probably know the difference. If he had grabbed it and said something and stuck it in his chest, that's one thing, but that's 1 point and they got the ball.
Yeah.
All right. So, and then, do you have that picture of Ian Shefflin ready to pop up right now?
Yes.
All right. So if you're listening, take my word for it. All right. This is a picture. This was not called a foul on Filipowski. That's not a foul.
Yeah. And you can clearly see that.
So let's just compare it to the call at the end of the game.
It's not even close.
All right. First of all, at the end of the game, he traveled. By rule, he traveled.
I said the same thing.
All right. Believe it or not, I have my officials certification. I took all the classes. I have it. He traveled. All right.
Yes.
They did not call it. Then, as an official, I would rather let the players decide the game. And if it's a 50-50, I'm gonna do the old soccer thing and go play on.
Yep.
All right. So they made the call, though.
You're right.
Now, and he give the kid credit. He hit 2 free throws. But the play before that, when PJ got fouled, excuse me, got a little something in my throat. 99 times out of 100, PJ makes that layup.
Oh, yeah.
So he has an and one. And I'm not blaming PJ.
Right. But that's a play.
Just sometimes, and it's right or wrong, whether you agree or disagree, sometimes teams have to go through what they're going through to get to where they want to go. All right. And he's going to make that shot in the ACC tournament.
That's right.
He's going to make that shot in the NCAA tournament. All right. And he's a great player. But I'm just going to, as a coach right now, you don't blame the officials. You blame they got tight. They got tight. Duke turned it up a notch. That's an incredibly tough place to play. If you've never been in that building, it's not big at all.
Mm-mm.
And they are literally right on top of you. Those bleachers that are behind the benches and behind the scores table or the media row where the students sit, you can't. I don't know how they stand. They don't stand between the seats because there's not enough room for your feet. They stand on the seat.
Right.
It's uncomfortable. So anyway, I was proud of Clemson the way they came back when they got down in the first half. They had a long stretch that they didn't score. They kept fighting. In the past, the Clemson team would have got beat by 30. And we took the lead. We're up 4, yada, yada, yada. So that is my take on the game. Now, your next question says, did Rick Barnes say he left Clemson because of Tobacco Road bias? I don't know if he said that, but I do remember him almost getting into it with Dean Smith, which made him my hero.
I heard that today, and I was like, I could see him. I don't remember that, but I could see him pointing that out, especially, not just on his way out the door. And I definitely remember him jokingly, like he was about to take off his blazer when they had called so many fouls on Clemson that we didn't have but 4 players to put on the court or something to that effect.
That is
was
correct.
Yeah, so it's been some.
You can't start with 4, but you can finish with 4.
Yeah,
that was the first year Rick Barnes was at Clemson, and he was trying to prove a point.
Yeah,
and he did.
So you sent me pictures, and like you say, these are just obviously our opinion, and we do our best. I have said many times that I never blame, and I try not to. It's like Bailey said, you can go back and look at this thing on the referee, or you can go back and look at this thing on this player, or this thing, the turn, whatever. When it's anytime it's a close game, you can nitpick. But you sent me screenshots of things Tim Beret put on Twitter. You want to talk about those?
Sure. Tim Beret was the SID at Clemson for over 40 years, and that's the second one that was his response. Yeah. He posted that was among the top 5 worst officiated games I've seen in 46 years covering Clemson basketball. And then he followed up that with a response. And that is the first time I've ever made a post on Twitter about officiating. That should put it in perspective. All right. So in the NBA, they get a report on how many calls were missed in their game. I don't know if they do that in ACC or not, but I'm assuming that list, they may get a call tomorrow and go, guys, we need to have a Zoom call. Because I'm not blaming the officials. It was bad. They were bad. It's a tough job. And you can look back at all those plays, but when Tim Beret, who doesn't ever really say anything bad about anybody, I've listened to the guy on the radio forever. I've probably watched every Clemson game for the past 30 years or more. Even when I was coaching, I DVR'd them and watched them at 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah. He's going to go out of his way to keep his emotions out of it and be professional and et cetera, et cetera. But like he said, it was just, and it's worse.
Schieffelin got 3 called on him that were nowhere near as egregious as what he got hit in the face with.
Yeah.
Man, I'm tired now.
It's worse when it's a close game. It's one thing, like you said, if we're getting blown out, it still matters. It's still aggravating, but it seems it's harder to control your emotions when it's like, we have a team that could beat that team. We really could.
We did.
Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, but it's a loss in the loss column. It's okay.
It's in the L.
I got an argument this week with a guy about Brownell. Come on, man.
I don't know what we can talk about that later, but you talk about how rough it is to be an official. Maybe what the officials need is a little W energy.
They probably could have used some.
Get a little pep in your step. Stay focused on both sides of the court. Similar focus. Go to w.gg and enter promo code FUNFANS for your 10% off of your Jitterless energy drink. Nobody needs to be drinking coffee for your energy. Drink some refreshing Dubby, pick your flavor, all kind of stuff.
I was devastated.
It's really, really good stuff. All right. On to other sports news. Other things going on in sports right now is NFL. It's big time. It's not a professional show. It's not an NFL show. We're a fun fan show. But pretty much every sports fan, it starts, whether they've been paying attention all season or not, they start paying attention to NFL playoffs. And today is Championship Sunday. Kansas City has already taken care of Baltimore. And we talk about fan perspective. There's already fans just dragging Lamar Jackson through the mud. I mean, he's trash and da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, dude, he got you to the AFC championship game. He's an unbelievable player. You can start nitpicking him and stuff to death, but he's one of the top, you could argue 3, 4, 5. Who you going to get to be better than him to take your team even? So that's just the thing about fans. It's rough. It's rough.
Well, are they fans? Are they? My question is, if you were screaming last year at DJ, like, I get it. We've already beat that dead horse. Nobody's open. Nobody's blocking. Ask Bryce Young. We got to get Bryce Young on here. You think the first round draft pick in the NFL draft from last year would be on our show and go, hey, guys, yeah, I'll be there. Yeah. And I can say, Bryce, we're not going to throw your teammates under the bus, but you were literally running for your life. And you had nobody to throw to because nobody was open. How is that the quarterback's fault? Kansas City defense is playing out of this world.
Oh, this is unreal. Unreal.
And I love the NFL. And if the game on right now, Detroit scored in 1 minute and 40 seconds.
Woohoo.
That dude, their play caller, he's creative. Let's put it that way.
Well, I'm going to answer your question. Are they really fans? And the answer is yes, because what is fan short for?
Fanatic.
Fanatic. So all this overboard perception of this and getting, in my opinion, that is very fitting. If it don't hurt your heart when Clemson loses to Duke, however, whichever direction your rant takes, I think it's a fan. I think you're a fan. You might be a little bit slightly obnoxious, can't keep it in perspective fan, but I'm gonna say you're still a fan. This is a fan. Woo, you're a fan.
So you're my love for Clemson is unconditional.
Yes, you're fanatical about,
but I'm not
Clemson.
Fanatical about blaming everyone.
Yeah, you don't express it in such a way.
It's crazy, man.
And
it's out of control.
The game is on the San Francisco and Detroit. Now, none of these, that's another fan perspective. So I'm watching the intro, and did you see the intro Fox did? And they were showing the fans at the two different parties, the Detroit and San Francisco.
I sat down when it kicked off, so I missed that. I try to miss all the pregame.
Well, it was great. And it's exactly what we're talking about. And they expressed it perfectly. They put the San Francisco fans at the party, at the chant, and they're like, if we don't win this one, we're going to have to do something about old so-and-so, the coach or the Purdy or whatever.
Right.
So it's like, but then they go to the Detroit party and it's like, it's the best day of my life, win or lose. It's a completely different perspective on being in the same place. So
because they've played in 4 out of 5 of the championship games. San Francisco
correct. And that's the whole thing. And I hate to say Clemson fans are spoiled, but when you hear Clemson fans are spoiled, I mean, that's why you get used to something and that's what you're used to. So, and I don't want to hold it against, that's how they're expressing their fandom. The Detroit fans right now are crunk, just being there. Here's the thing. If they win this game, win or lose, honestly, next year will be different. Those fans will all of a sudden expect to make the playoffs.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Detroit has never played in the Super Bowl. And they have not been. They didn't win they hadn't won a playoff game since Barry Sanders played for them.
Fans they don't call them fanatics for nothing. But speaking of those, so you like the NFL. You get down to 4 or 6 teams, definitely 2 in the Super Bowl for sure. Do you have a certain way to pick? Because unless it's your team, do you have an NFL team?
I grew up as a Washington Redskins fan, and now they're the Commanders.
Yeah.
Obviously, we pull for the Panthers, and I sat there every game and watched them.
Yeah.
This year because they're local.
Yeah.
And I watch the Commanders when the Panthers aren't on. I have a great dislike for the Cowboys because I grew up a Redskins fan. Okay, but right now, my favorite team is Detroit because I watched Hard Knocks last year with Dan Campbell. And so I'd play for that guy.
When it gets to a point where you're watching these games because they're big games, but they're not your team, how do you pick who to pull for? So you're pulling for Detroit. You got the background based on watching the Hard Knocks. What about the other game, the Baltimore?
I could have cared less.
So you didn't pick a team?
I like to watch it because they're always close. They're just those are some of the best athletes on this planet.
Oh, it's fun to watch
pro football. And I mean, some of the things they do. And if you've ever been live at an NFL game, I got to sit one time in the end zone and watch Steve Young when he was in his prime play the Falcons in the Georgia Dome.
Mm-hmm.
The windows that they throw it in are ridiculous. It's ridiculous the level that they play at.
Right.
So
that's what I catch myself pulling for the offense if it's 2 teams. just because I don't know, just what I like to see, I guess. But if I'm trying to make the game interesting, I try to pick a team at the beginning. I'm going to pull for fill in the blank. And
a lot of people
I
do
don't know
that
why.
by placing a wager on the game.
Yeah, that's not me. But it's usually if I have some tie or connection, like I have some friends who used to coach Debo Samuel
Right.
when he was at Chapman.
Right.
So it kind of makes me I would like to see him be successful. Even I don't know him personally, but a friend of a friend or whatever. But I'm like you, I'm pulling for Detroit because I would like to see them win a championship of some fashion in my lifetime.
Underdogs. I like underdogs.
Underdogs are good too. So, all right. So how that could be, we used to do a question of the week. We might need to do a thing about the Super Bowl, which is 2 weeks away. We could do a thing about how we're going to pick who we're going to pull for. And we got a little surprise maybe coming up for that show in 2 weeks.
Sure.
So that one,
that's
always pull for the halftime show.
That's right.
Without a doubt. And all right, speaking of pulling for some stuff, pull for the fun fans. And we're going to post these. I didn't do a good job, but they're up there. And if you use our links to go to Amazon and order these, it's the same items. Hadn't had time to put any new items up there. We'll get around to some stuff, but pull for the fun fans. Support us a little bit. You got your W Energy drink. We got your TrueVictory.com, enter promo code the Fanboys, and we got these links at our Amazon affiliate link. So, I don't know who wouldn't want to pull for Fun Fans podcast. That's a complete no-brainer.
Yeah.
All right, but some other things on social media. What we want to go to. This is our feature segment, I guess. These are the top 5 social media reactions to Clemson's loss to Duke. All right. So here we go. Bailey hasn't even seen these. Number 5. Can't wait to get to the Big Ten.
Good one.
Were you the one that said somebody was talking about doing a GoFundMe to raise the money to leave the ACC?
No, somebody said just the 500th reason to leave the ACC.
Yeah. So that's
and they tagged the AD at Graham Neff.
Yeah, I mean, it could solve some problems, but who knows? I did see a commercial today. There's some kind of agreement in 3:30 games with CBS. We love some 3:30 games, so just saying. All right, so that's number 5. Number 4, if the public would rise up and start screaming, maybe they would correct this wrong. I mean, if that's not a social justice warrior thing right there, I mean,
that is a microcosm of just us in general right now.
Grassroots, baby. And it's way too late for the replay. It's like
they're not going to protest. You can't protest a referee's call.
Maybe if the public would rise up and start screaming, Bailey.
There are correctable errors and errors that are just errors.
Did the referees furnish the Vaseline, or was this a these are quotes, so if this misspelled, it's the person that typed it's fault. They misspelled Vaseline.
Well, there's several things
and this is
that, but let's just don't even talk about that one.
Yeah, this is a family podcast, so we'll just move on with that one. The number 2, I can definitely relate to this one. We can definitely relate to this one. Just thought it was very witty. I've seen that movie so many times, and yet I watch every year.
Yep, keeps you on the edge of your seat.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Thriller.
And the number 1. Where's my drum roll? Oh, I turned the volume down too far.
I don't know. There it is. Number 1.
The number 1.
Dave Letterman show.
All you people that are blaming the officials on the loss need to take a step back and examine yourself. I didn't see the game, but.
Okay, first of all, don't respond. You don't have to respond. You don't have to respond. If you didn't watch the game, why would you comment on that?
Well, I stopped there. It was this long comment, and I'm like, that's awesome. That's a classic. That is definitely podcast material. I didn't see the game, but I've never been to this restaurant, but it is awful.
Yeah.
It's just do not go there. So anyway, hope you enjoyed. That's the Fun Fans Podcast top 5 social media reactions to the Clemson.
That was good.
Clemson's loss to Duke. And that brings us to the end of our show. We hope you enjoyed the show. Our men's basketball team is still good. We're a good team. We got tournaments. Basketball is a tournament thing.
James,
right?
Do you realize, and I know you're trying to end this podcast, but
Let's do it.
They still have more conference games than any high school team in South Carolina plays their whole conference season. We still have that many games left.
No, actually, I mean, it's starting. We're getting about to the halfway point.
It's done the first week in March.
We're about at the halfway point of the conference, right?
I mean,
we're good.
Yes, we have 5 losses. Still good.
Yep. So we're good. It's going to be good. All right. Keep up the social media posts and comments because it helps give us some content. And we're definitely excited about all the Clemson athletics. Oh, I skipped one thing. This is big news. Don't forget, I skipped 2 things. All right. So don't forget, speaking of Clemson athletics, we're doing this. This one's on the calendar. February 24th, hockey versus the Gamecocks. All right. We're going to be there. And did you hear Vince McMahon is out? He's gone. No more WW, whichever letter it is.
Well, they are also going to all Netflix. WWE Raw, and their productions will be only on Netflix starting next year.
Well, the news to me was that Vince McMahon was still in because he was doing that stuff when I was literally in grade school, and I'm 50. So when I saw that, I'm like, really? He's still doing it?
They talk about it all. There's a guy on sports radio in Charlotte that loves wrestling, and he talks about all that stuff. So, and that's what my radio's on.
There's plenty of people that love it, and for good reason. You know what else they love? They love the Fun Fans podcast, I hope. Thanks again for checking us out each and every Sunday and Wednesday. Don't forget to click subscribe on the Fun Fan Podcast YouTube channel, as well as your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on all social media and always share on behalf of the Fun Fans Podcast, J Thriller Entertainment, the Fanboys Fangirls Podcast Network, and Bailey Jackson.
Duke stinks. Go Tigers.
Some things never change.
That's right.
Thanks for listening.